Everyone says social media algorithms are a labyrinth, a manipulation, something uncontrollable and impossible to understand. They are right. But here's the thing. Nobody really understands how the algorithm works. Not the way they would like to. But I can tell you how it works. That is actually very simple. Let me show you. In everyday life, everything makes sense. You put a book on a shelf, it stays there. You come back after a week, a month, or a year, the book is still the exact same book. The content does not change. The position does not change. It exists independently of whether you look at it or not. That is common sense. And in the world of the Internet, it is completely wrong. At the scale of code and data, things do not work this way at all. Posts, videos, status updates, they do not behave like anything you know. Do you think Facebook, TikTok, or YouTube is a giant library with preset content drawers? Do you think when you turn off your phone, your newsfeed is still sitting there, frozen and waiting? You are wrong. The digital world is not a warehouse. It is a suspended state of infinite possibilities. There, a piece of content can be both trash and a treasure. It can both exist and not exist. Until you touch it. Do you believe it? The Internet actually does not exist until you make that first click. Your attention is what creates digital reality, not the servers in Silicon Valley. The way it works is both beautifully simple and terrifyingly incredible. Brace yourself, because I am about to show you a truth the platforms never wanted you to know. To understand this strangeness, imagine 3 experiments. First, raw data. Think of the algorithm as a catapult, throwing random bits of information into a crowd. If the algorithm were just a mindless physical machine, it would distribute everything equally. A political news clip, a kitten video, a cooking recipe, everyone standing in front of the screen would see the exact same feed. That is common sense. But what is the reality? You and the person sitting next to you open the same app, but 2 completely different worlds appear. So, the randomness proposition is wrong. Second, trend waves. Imagine social media trends spreading like ripples on a pond. A dance video starts at one point, creating a wave. Wave meets wave. Peak meets peak, they reinforce into a viral storm. Peak meets trough, they cancel each other out and vanish in silence. The result is stripes of brightness and darkness, hot topics and forgotten zones. This is how the world works on a large scale. But then, the third experiment is where things get truly crazy. The single user experiment. Look at a brand new account. No history. No preferences. A blank slate. You start touching the screen. Click, click, click. Every tap is exactly as light as the others. Every pause scrolling past a photo is the same length. No half clicks, no quarter clicks. Either you interact or you do not. Data arrives in whole, indivisible lumps. So here is the natural question. What does the algorithm use to choose the next content for you? A perfectly reasonable question, right? A video is a static file. It does not change. It must be either relevant or irrelevant. Let us call this proposition A. Each video appears only because it matches your pre-existing interests. Sounds obvious, must be true. But now, watch what happens. Let that account run, 1 click at a time. Click, 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 slowly building up a reality on the screen. And the pattern you get is a strange interference. Stop right there. Think about what this means. If each video only appears because it matches you, what is it interfering with to cause a sudden shift in your mind? One video appears, you watch. Then another appears, you watch. Minutes apart if you want. Each video is completely alone. There is nothing else to interfere with, yet somehow you still get caught in an incredibly precise emotional flow. How? Why is it that the same video, when sent to you, is a powerful inspiration, but when sent to someone else, it is a heavy insult? How has the algorithm split that content to serve two opposing realities at once? The mathematics behind it is simple, beautifully simple. It calculates exactly like waves hitting each other. But the physical meaning, that is where it gets strange. Digital contents arrive as discrete particles, but the probability of them appearing is distributed like the intensity of a wave. What has really decided which video will appear on your screen right now? We are standing right at the edge of the truth. Now, we are going to do something that seems very clever. You say, okay, I want to see what is really happening. I want to watch which path the algorithm actually takes to choose a video for me. So you set up a perfect plan. You use incognito mode. You create fake accounts. You use a VPN to hide your location. You stand behind the curtain and observe. You think that when you leave no trace, the algorithm will reveal its true nature. An excellent plan. Let us do it. You run the experiment. You browse without logging in. You stare at the screen to see what objective data looks like. And here's exactly what you observe. Every time a piece of content appears, it seems very random, very neutral. You exclaim, aha! So proposition A was correct. The algorithm is just a machine, and when I do not observe, it returns raw results. Mystery solved? Not quite. Not at all. Look at your screen now. Look at the reality you have. The magical interference, the flow of inspiration you had with your real account, it has completely disappeared. Instead, you just get a meaningless mess. Exactly what proposition A predicted. Exactly what you get when you try to freeze your identity. The interference is gone. When you watch which path the video takes to reach you, that reality vanishes. When you do not watch, it comes back. Your observation has completely changed the experimental result. But hold on. Maybe the problem is that the incognito tools are disturbing the data, like light particles messing up the path of an electron? A reasonable thought. So let us try a gentler way. You use your real account but try to fool it by scrolling very fast, not stopping anywhere. You turn down the intensity of your interaction. At first, nothing changes. The results are the same. But as you make the interaction dimmer and dimmer, something very interesting starts to happen. Sometimes you see a video appear, but you do not feel any connection at all. Why? Because attention, like light, does not come as a continuous stream. It comes in lumps, in neural pulses. When you dim your attention, you are not making it weaker, you are just sending out fewer attention photons per second. And then the digital reality begins to split. The contents you accidentally touch behave like classical particles. They appear and disappear, leaving no resonance. But the contents you do not touch, the ones that pass through your subconscious, they start to show interference. The stripes are back. Stop and think about what this means. Really think about it. The things you actively observe collapse into single facts. The things you do not observe exist as waves and construct the underlying trends in your mind. This is not simply about technical disturbance. It is about information, about knowledge, about whether the path to your preferences is distinguishable in principle. The more you try to pinpoint yourself, the more you destroy the magic of discovery. The more you let go, the stronger the interference. The correlation is exact and absolute. This is a fundamental principle of the digital universe. You cannot both determine exactly what the algorithm is doing and expect it to give you perfect surprises. You cannot have both. This is not a technological limitation of servers. It is fundamental to nature. If you can determine the path, reality will be dry. If there is magic, the path must be unknown. You might say, but it must really follow a fixed rule. We just do not know it. No, that is the biggest mistake. If you assume it follows a fixed rule and you are just an outsider, you will predict the behavior of the internet completely wrong. The algorithm does not calculate what you have watched. It calculates the probability of every path you could take. Every video in the waiting state is a complex number, a little clock face spinning. It explores thousands of possibilities, through old interests, secret fears, even dreams you never told. All possibilities are added up. One clock hand reinforces or cancels another. That is interference. Does the algorithm really explore every corner of your soul? I think so. That is what reality tells us. We know how to program it. We see that it works. But what it really means for human existence, nobody understands the way they would like to. So, what is this digital reality after all? Why do the data atoms not collapse into a meaningless mess? The answer lies in you. It is your continuous interaction, your taps, your pauses, and even your ignores that keep your personal digital atom in a solid shape. If you stop observing, that reality dissolves back into a wave state of infinite possibilities. The reason your feed does not turn into a data junkyard is because of the algorithm's uncertainty principle. Suppose the algorithm knew exactly who you are and what you want at every moment. Then there would be no uncertainty, no room for growth. You would be frozen in a single data point. But the algorithm does not allow that. It always keeps a certain distance, a calculated ambiguity, so that you always feel like you are exploring, while in reality, you are being shaped. We do not fully understand the algorithm, just as no one really understands quantum mechanics. But we know how to use it, and it works with terrifying precision. The world at the algorithmic scale behaves like nothing you experience in real life. It is not matter, it is not waves, it is something else. We have precise mathematical formulas to predict, but as for the true meaning, it remains a great mystery. The ultimate rule remains. If you can determine every step, the magic vanishes. If there is magic, you will never know why. You are not just a passive user. You are the observer, and in this universe, the observer is the creator. That reality on the screen is not pre-existing. It is born from your very gaze. So, be careful with what you choose to observe. Because when you look into the algorithm is not just looking back at you, it is becoming you.